This is Stories Telling Stories, a pop culture podcast produced by Eric R. Hill in association with Seeing Red Productions and STS Media Group. Episode 402, Rosalina's Storybook from Super Mario Galaxy. Fleshed Out for STS by Eric R. Hill. Chapter 1, The Celestial Duo. Our story begins a very, very long time ago with a young girl. One day, this girl spotted a rusted spaceship holding a small star child. "What's your name? Are you lost?" the girl asked the star child. "I'm Luma, and I'm waiting for Mama. She's coming for me on a comet," said the star child, who had been waiting day and night. "Don't worry, I'll wait with you." "Have you been waiting here long?" the little girl asked. "It's been days and days. I forget how many," replied Luma. "Were you traveling by yourself?" "Yes, it's just me. But once I find Mama, I won't be alone anymore." The little girl smiled. "I'm glad to hear that. Nobody should have to travel the stars by themselves." At nightfall, the little girl borrowed her father's telescope and peered into the sky. She looked and looked, but she saw nothing. Hours turned into days, and then years, but still the sky revealed nothing. Finally, the little girl sighed and said to Luma, "If we stay here much longer, I'll be an old lady soon." But then she had an idea. "Why don't we go out there and find your mother ourselves?" "But we can't," replied Luma. "My ship is broken." "That's okay, Luma. I will help you fix it." The girl and Luma fixed up the rusty spaceship, and then the two set sail into the starry sky. And this is how the search for the Celestial Mother began. Chapter 2, Star Bits. Days passed with no sight of the comet, or even a single planet. Instead, asteroids extended for as far as the eye could see. Some asteroids were as big as houses, and others were small as rocks that tumble in a stream. They also came in all sorts of shapes and sizes, colors, textures, and even smells. One smelled like black pepper, and the next smelled just like cinnamon. "If I had known it was going to take this long, I would have packed more jam," said the little girl above the rumble of her belly. Before they left, she had packed all the essentials: telescope, butterfly net, stuffed bunny, bread, milk, jam, and apricot-flavored tea. But "I forgot to bring water." At this, Luma burst into a gale of laughter, and the girl began to pout. "You don't understand, Luma. Where I'm from, water is essential. We drink it, we cook with it, we clean with it. It's a basic necessity." But Luma just kept laughing. "Don't you ever get thirsty?" asked the girl. "All living things need water to survive." "As long as I have star bits, I'll be fine," said Luma. "Want some?" The little girl couldn't stay mad after hearing this. Luma continued to laugh, and the girl couldn't help but join in. "All right, maybe just a nibble." Leaning far out of the ship, the pair began to collect star bits with the girl's net. They almost fell out a few times, but they kept on collecting. The star bits tasted like honey. "Star bits are delicious," exclaimed the girl. "We don't have anything like them back where I am from." But if we did, I'm sure everyone would want to taste. Chapter 3. The Comet. A beam of light pierced through the ship's window. Thinking it was the morning sun, the girl peered through the window, only to find a turquoise blue comet shimmering at her. The little girl shook the sleeping Luma awake and shouted excitedly, "We have to go to that comet!" The comet glimmered and shimmered in the light of surrounding stars. The pair descended on the comet and found that it was made of ice. They looked high and low, but Luma's mother was nowhere to be found. Exhausted, the little girl sat down with a flop, utterly unable to take another step. "Look!" Peering down at the icy ground where Luma was pointing, the girl suddenly noticed clusters of star bits encased in the ice. "Pretty good, huh? Finding star bits is my specialty," said Luma, beaming. "There's ice here, but it's so warm, I bet there'll be water here too." Luma was right. They found cool water that was perfect to drink. Despite how delicious the star bits were, the little girl was overjoyed for her first sip of water since leaving home. After drinking her fill, they sat and looked around. The two decided to stay on the comet for a while. Riding the turquoise comet, the pair continued their search for Luma's mother. Chapter 4. The Dream. One night, the girl dreamed about her own mother. "Where are you going?" she asked her mother's retreating back. Without turning, her mother replied, "Don't fret, dearest. I'm not going anywhere. I'm always watching over you, like the sun in the day and the moon in the night." A wave of sadness washed over the girl. "What about when it rains and I can't see the sun or the moon?" Her mother thought for a moment before responding. "I will turn into a star in the clouds and wait for your tears to dry." "But the clouds will cover the stars. How will I know where you are?" the little girl asked. But her mother did not reply. She simply smiled at the girl and slowly faded into the accumulating clouds. "No, Mama, don't go," the little girl pleaded. But it was too late. Her mother had faded out of sight, and the rest of the dream faded into the darkness of sleep. When she awoke, the girl's face was damp with tears. "You have star bits in your eyes," said Luma to the girl. Wiping her face, the girl replied, "These are tears, not star bits. I'm crying because I'll never see my mother ever again." At this, Luma began to cry too. "Oh, Mama! Oh, Mama!" Oh. Time passed. Days turned to weeks, and soon they lost track of how long they had been searching. The pair traveled through the starry skies, and though they encountered many other comets, not one of them held Luma's mother. Luma was despondent. Now, Luma. The rain clouds won't go away if you keep crying," the girl said, giving Luma a squeeze. "I'll give you a present if you stop." The girl closed her eyes and said gently, "I'll take care of you." With these words, she felt a small spark in her heart. Chapter 5. Home. Luma and the girl had been very busy. "The kitchen will go here, and the library go over there," the girl said busily to herself, "and we'll put the gate here." Ever since the girl took Luma under her care, she's been bustling about at a feverish pace. "It's a lot of work, but it's worth it to make a happy home." It turned out that star bits weren't the only thing buried in the ice. There were tools and furniture unlike any they had ever seen, and the girl used them to build a home. Looking at the completed house, Luma remarked, "Don't you think it's awful big for just the two of us?" With a library, bedroom, kitchen, fountain, and gate, It was certainly spacious, but still, something seemed to be missing. "If only my father, brother, and mother were here," the girl said wistfully. Indeed, the house was too large for its two small residents.
"But it's okay,"
said Luma gleefully.
"We've built a wonderful home here, with plenty of room for the future."
"I suppose you're right," said the girl. That night, clutching her favorite stuffed bunny close to her heart, the girl fell asleep in the starship. Chapter 6. Friends. Then one day, while the girl sat sipping tea, a tiny apricot-colored planet appeared on the horizon. From the planet, another Luma of the same color emerged.
"Oh, hello there,"
the girl said to the new Luma.
"Why don't you come with me? There's someone I'd like you to meet."
The girl guided the new Luma into the house and introduced them to one another. But neither of them said anything.
"We've been traveling the galaxy for some time, and you were the first Luma we've encountered,"
the girl said, trying to break the ice. But still, they remained quiet.
"Do you two know each other?"
the girl asked the two Lumas gleefully. Despite the girl's excitement, they seemed uneasy. The two Lumas neither drew closer nor backed away from each other. Instead, they just stared. Then one Luma broke the silence.
"My mama!"
At once, the apricot Luma parroted back,
"My mama! My mama! My mama! My mama!"
The two Lumas began to dance around the girl frantically, and neither showed any sign of stopping. The girl was so charmed by this adorable scene that she couldn't help but laugh. And that's when something very strange happened. Suddenly, more Lumas began to pop out from the apricot planet. They were different colors, but they all shouted the same thing,
"My mama! My mama!"
The sight of all the shouting Lumas only made the girl laugh harder.
"What am I going to do with all of these children?"
The Lumas just stared blankly as she doubled over laughing.
"I guess we'll have to name each and every one of you,"
she said with great enthusiasm.
"It's a good thing we built such a big house. We've got so much room for our growing family."
Tomorrow, once she had finished naming them all, she would begin moving all the Lumas into the new house. Chapter 7. The Telescope. More time passed, but still Luma and the girl were no closer to finding Luma's mama. They passed comet after comet and encountered countless magical new worlds, but still came up empty-handed. After seeing their 100th comet, a sudden thought popped into the girl's head.
"I wonder if my home planet is still as blue as it was."
That's when she remembered her father's telescope. Peeking into the telescope, a tiny blue dot floated into sight. It was smaller than a star bit.
"How strange. It's so far away, but it feels so close."
She twisted the knob of the telescope, and the blue dot grew until she could make out a grassy hill dotted with flowers. It seemed very familiar to her. Zooming even further, a terrace on the hill came into view.
"I used to go stargazing there when I lived on my home planet."
She remembered rubbing the sleep out of her eyes as she followed her father up that hill to look at the stars. She remembered how she and her brother would sled down that hill. She remembered having picnics with her mother on that hill on bright and windy days. And
"I want to go home. I want to go home right now."
the girl burst into tears, and the Lumas didn't know what to do.
"I want to go home. I want to go back to my house by the hill. I want to see my mother."
The girl was shouting now, her face wet with tears.
"But I know she's not there. I knew all along she wasn't out there in the sky. Because she's sleeping under the tree on the hill."
The girl's cries echoed through the stars. and a hush fell over the area. Chapter 8. The Wish. Though usually quite cheery, one day the girl became sad again. Luma drew close and tried to comfort her.
Mama, you still have me. And don't be sad about your mama, because she's part of you. That means she's always close by. It's like me. I love star bits because they remind me of my mama.
No. The girl said, unable to stop her tears. A lonely look flickered across Luma's face, but it was soon replaced by a wide grin.
I have an idea. I will transform into a comet, a soaring comet that can carry you all on this journey.
You'll what? The girl said, surprised.
No, please don't leave,
she pleaded.
Don't fret, Mama. I'll always be with you, like the sun in the day and the moon in the night.
With that, Luma, trailing bands of white, soared high into the sky and just as quickly started to plummet back down. Kaboom! Kablam! The ground shook and a bright light poured out of the crater that the Luma had created. The bands of light twisted together to form a comet tail. And then Luma emerged, reborn as a comet. The girl could scarcely believe her eyes.
But how? How?
She kept asking.
Our destiny as Lumas is to transform into different things,
said a red Luma who had suddenly appeared.
Stars, comets, planets, we can become all of these things. When I grow up, I want to become a star that makes someone special smile,
said a green Luma. A blue Luma chimed in.
That Luma turned into a real cutie of a comet, didn't he?
All the Lumas together said,
No more crying, Mama.
Thank you, said the girl in a whisper, and she pulled the Lumas close and hugged them. From that day on, star bits no longer fell from the girl's eyes. Final chapter. Family. With its many Lumas and telescopes, the comet was quite a sight to behold. The girl and the Lumas were proud to call it home. At a welcoming party for a new Luma, the girl gathered everyone in the kitchen and said in a louder voice than usual,
All right, everyone, let's make a cake. A cake sprinkled with star bits. Then it will be a star cake.
The Lumas excitedly began to gather the ingredients. As she watched the Lumas scurry about, the girl smiled and thought to herself, This is my family now, and I will stay with them until they're ready to leave the nest. And when they do leave, I'll see them off with a smile, because that's what makes a mother happiest. That night, when the girl lay down to sleep, a soft light enveloped her and reminded her of the blue planet she once called home.
But it would be nice to return home once every 100 years to nap in my favorite sleeping nook.
The comet carrying the Lumas and the girl continues on its journey to this very day. With more family members in tow than can be counted, it's said that the comet visits the girl's home planet once every 100 years, its proud white tail glimmering in the sky. The end. Super Mario Galaxy was released for the Nintendo Wii in November of 2008, taking the titular hero into outer space for the first time. Super Mario Galaxy relies on the novel abilities of the Wii motion controller and nunchuck attachment to navigate a galaxy worth of solar systems. Super Mario Galaxy was a critical and commercial success, hailed as one of the best games in the series and one of the highest rated video games of all time, for reasons up to and including the graphics, gravity mechanics, level design, soundtrack, setting, and of course, story. It won several awards from top gaming publications, including multiple Game of the Year titles, and became the first Nintendo title to win the BAFTA Award for Best Game. A sequel was released in 2010 that fully exceeded the expectations and the hype generated by the original, with criticism only levied at its surprising difficulty. It is considered to have surpassed the original in every way, being lauded as the greatest game of its generation and one of the best of all time. But regardless of the success of its sequel, Super Mario Galaxy is a masterpiece in its own right that mere words simply can't explain. And the story that Rosalina brings to the universe is one that has always stuck with me, as I hope it will now stick with you. Thank you, friends. Have a good day. Stories Telling Stories is produced in collaboration with Seeing Red Productions and STS Media Group, flying aimlessly through the cosmos at Millhouse Studios in Milton, Vermont, orbiting around the globe to your frontal lobe wherever podcasts are found. STS is also streaming on YouTube at Stories Telling Stories. Make sure to give us a review wherever you stream our show. We really appreciate it. Make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram, give us a subscribe on YouTube, and consider supporting us on Patreon for $1 a month or more. And until next time, let's go! Yahoo! Stay whimsical.